All right, everyone, it's Dave from DraftDashboard.com, here with your midweek NFL DFS update as we look ahead into Week 10 action. First off, big thanks for the awesome feedback on our previous video. Let's dive into the picks that can give you the edge this week. Starting off again with the quarterback position, we have Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. Hurts will take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have one of the worst defenses overall, ranked 31st. He's projected at 22 points, but more than that, he's averaging 22 fantasy points per game, having scored 35 in one of his recent matches. With only a 5.35% ownership, I see him as a fantastic GPP play. Given his consistent performances, highlighted by one of his best games against Cincinnati earlier this season, Hurts should continue his strong showing against Jacksonville. Moving over to the running back spot, let's take a look at Saquon Barkley, also from the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the same Jacksonville defense ranked 31st overall. Barkley is coming off a season-high performance, racking up 176 rushing yards against the Giants. With 22 fantasy points per game projected for another strong performance and modest ownership at 9.34%, he's definitely a player to watch. The narrative surrounding his return game against New York gave him an extra spark, and I expect that momentum to carry into this week's matchup. Now turning to the wide receiver side of things, A.J. Brown from the Eagles is someone you can count on. Facing Jacksonville's struggling secondary, Brown's been solid, averaging 21 fantasy points per game. He had 13 points in his most recent game, but earlier he racked up 27. With an ownership of 8.21%, he's a safe yet powerful choice at that price. Despite some injury concerns from a few games back, he's back and ready to impact the scoreboard. At tight end, Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons makes a strong case. Going against the Dallas Cowboys, who rank 28th against the position, Pitts is averaging 11 fantasy points per game. His ownership sits at 7.12%, which makes him an appealing mid-range option. Although Pitts hasn't consistently dominated, his 25-point performance recently showed just how explosive he can be. When considering a flex pick, Kyren Williams from the LA Rams is intriguing. He's lined up against the Seattle Seahawks, who are 22nd in opponent rank. Williams is projected for a solid 19 points, and those recent scores of 23, 20, and another 20 show his consistency. With a relatively higher ownership of 17.33%, Williams makes an attractive pick for those flex spots while providing a nice balance of potential and reliability. Finally, on to defense selections, the Chargers are an interesting choice against the Cleveland Browns with a 29th ranked opponent rating. Projected for 8 points with a 6.04% ownership, they are a cost-effective choice at a $3,300 salary. Picking a defense is always crucial, and in this scenario, the Chargers stand out as a thoughtful inclusion to your lineup. These are just some of the high and low-cost options available this week. Be sure to explore our daily fantasy tools for effective lineup building. Drop your comments on these picks below. Thanks for tuning in, and let's make Week 10 successful.